Okay, Impact Wrestling Under Siege 2023 just wrapped up. Very bizarre show to say the least. My experience was not particularly good during this. It's not the company's fault. Well, a little bit of the company's fault, I think. But it's a bit more to it than that. We'll get into this as we go through. Let's start things off with our two kickoff show matches. First off was a Knockouts tag team match. The Coven, that's Taylor Wilde and Kylan King, against the new Death Dolls of Jessica and Courtney Rush. Courtney Rush is the newest persona of Rosemary, which has begged some interesting questions there, as again, we just did a whole special about Rosemary talking about her mental health struggles, and now you have her developing a separate personality. This was not for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, by the way. Early on, Rush fought out of a head scissors, but Wilde came back into kind of a hammerlock suplex. Jessica got in the ring and exchanged some hard chops with Kylan King. King broke up a sharpshooter attempt on Wilde and hit a German suplex on, I keep wanting to call her Rosemary now, Courtney Rush. Jessica got in, came in kind of like a house of fire, and hit King with kind of a sidewalk drop. Like she picked up the sidewalk side, but instead of falling down, she went like kaboom, like that. Eventually, kind of a big schmoz broke out. The Coven went for the heart attack, but Jessica broke that up, and that enabled Courtney Rush to put the sharpshooter on Taylor Wilde, who tapped out. So it seems like the Death Dolls are going to be aiming for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship soon. Overall, the match was alright. Pretty by the numbers. I guess Rosemary's still feeling out this new, kind of more joyful, kind of Ruby Riott-like persona. Kind of the street girl who skateboards type thing is going on. Like I said before, it's kind of weird again that we had someone talking about their mental health struggles a few weeks ago, and now they're in character developing a separate persona. It always just comes across as sort of weird. Our next kickoff show match was the Digital Media Championship match. Joe Hendry against Dirty Dango, the former Fandango from the Fashion Police and WWE, obviously. The storyline being that Dirty Dango was brought in to investigate who was attacking Santino Marella. Turns out Dirty Dango was the one doing it. And Hendry found it out, and now they're fighting over this championship. Early on, Dango just kind of stuck to the ropes to avoid actually getting into a fight to lure Hendry into it, but it doesn't really work, as immediately Hendry bounced Dango's head off turnbuckles. He countered a cross body into a gorilla press slam. Dango did throw Hendry into the post at one point, but Hendry hit a big follow-away slam, and at this point, Dango just gave up the ghost and hit a low blow for the DQ. Afterwards, he continued to assault Joe Hendry, and then Santino Marella returned for the save. Yeah, this was kind of a nothing match, unfortunately. I do like the guys involved in said match, but again, this really didn't go anywhere except to build for a later thing, which, again, there was a vignette in the back where Marella threatened Dango, but I cannot remember what he said. That sort of leads to the other big problem with this show. The audio mixing was horrendous. Theme songs wouldn't play, microphones would cut off halfway through. I think it was the arena they were in. It was too big. Like, you can see they had sectioned off a part of it. Like, this is a pretty prominent arena in London, Ontario. But, yeah, it's like they had sectioned off a piece of it, and it's just too echoey to really run a proper live mic like that. And so it just, it didn't really work. Moving on to the show proper, we had Kenny King with Nick Aldis starting things off. Aldis blocked a crossbody again and hit a suplex. King's new protege, Sheldon Jean, got involved a little bit, tried to distract the ref. King hit a dropkick, sending Aldis into the ring steps. King hit a corkscrew plancha to the outside of the ring. Aldis came back in and a pump handle pump handle fall-away slam. King followed it up with a power slam of his own. Gene tried to distract the ref, but that actually gave Aldis back the upper hand. He had a big flying elbow, and then he hit a power bomb into the Royal Cloverleaf for the win. Yeah, so they're obviously building Aldis up to be a new contender for the championship. I don't know when exactly that's going to be, as we get into something else soon. Okay, so in between the third and fourth matches, we had kind of a mini match breakout coming off of the latest Impact weekly show, where Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly have been feuding. They were fighting throughout the crowd. Kelly seemed to get an upper hand through Slamovich off of a little stand into to the concrete floor, and then began choking her out in the ring with a chain, and that's kind of how that ended. And then we had the interview with Santino Marella backstage. And that moves on to the fourth match, the six-man tag match between The Design, Sami Callihan, Rich Swann, and Jake Christ. So we had a OVE reunion here. Callihan and Christ hit a double spinebuster on Angels from The Design. Big fight broke out outside that enabled Angels to hit jumping Enziguri on, I believe it was Christ. Christ then hit Khan with an outside moonsault to the outside. Khan shrugged off a triple super kick. Deaver and Angels hit a swinging net breaker on Christ. Christ began bleeding from his ear at some point during the match. Swann got the hot tag, hit him like a house of fire, and hit Khan and Diener with a double cutter. And Swann then countered a half and half from, I believe it was Angels, into a roll-up for the 3 count of the victory. Kind of an anticlimactic finish, considering that it was supposed to be Sami Callihan's feud, so you think he would be the one to get the pinfall, but I guess the good guys won. I mean, overall the match itself was kind of fun, had some definite car crash elements to it, but like I said, it was still pretty fun overall. Okay, take 2, because I can't seem to speak for some reason. Our fifth match was Giselle Shaw versus Trinity, the former Naomi from WWE. Trinity hit her little booty shake head scissors early on, followed that up with a big clothesline. Trinity hit a monkey flip and followed it up with another head scissors. At this point, Jay Vidal distracted, allowing Savannah Evans to trip Trinity off the apron. Shaw hit a tiger suplex. She began playing to the crowd, which allowed Trinity to hit the rack attack. Trinity then hit a kind of spike Rana DDT maneuver. Shawn came back, hit a hangman DDT off the second rope, went for the denouement kick. Trinity avoided it and locked on the Starstruck to win the submission match, or win with another submission. A lot of guys, people winning with submissions in this show. But yeah, that was a it was a thing that happened. Overall, the match was pretty fun. When towards the end, again, there's a lot of outside interference, but it seems like, again, kind of hard. Giselle Shaw occupies this weird nether realm. Like, she's not quite a jobber, but, you know, she's constantly losing to the higher talent. So, yeah, like, you know, it's nice to see her put up a fight, but again, we're kind of, you know, if she's going to have these entourages with her, there needs to be kind of more fallout from these sorts of things happening. Instead, it's just kind of another loss. And that leads us into our next match, which was the Tag Team Championship match. Chris Bay and Ace Austin, ABC, or Austin Bay Club, versus Subculture. That is Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, who you may remember from NXT UK. I covered an NXT UK takeover. They won the Tag Team Championships, I think, in a ladder match. I may be wrong on that. Ace and Bay still are doing a lot of the Bullet Club shtick, though they're not calling themselves Bullet Club, so I don't know if, like, whatever agreement Impact had with New Japan is off the table now, but so yeah, again, weird nether realm going on there. Austin countered a drop toe hold from Andrews into some type of kicking maneuver. Subculture hit multiple standing moonsaults on Bay. Bay then used Flash Morgan Webster for a springboard into a flying elbow. Andrews hit a double Pele kick and followed it up with a double tornado DDT. Subculture hit a double Falcon Arrow on Ace Austin. Bay broke up a shooting star press attempt. At one point, the Subculture hit their finisher, the Blitz Knee Bop, but the pin got broken up by Bay. Webster hit a swanton off the ring post to the outside. Bay then came in and hit a double Poison Rana onto Subculture. Subculture tried to go up for another Blitz Knee Bop, but inadvertently wound up striking each other in the process. And that enabled Austin and Bay to hit their finishers for the 3 count of the win. Which, overall was a fun match again. Good match, but again, kind of confusing because before this, we had a vignette backstage where Brian Myers' new tag team said that they deserved a shot, not Subculture. And Subculture promised to give them the first shot once they won the championships, which they didn't win. So, yeah, that just kind of makes them look a little stupid. And again, this is another one where the audio problems in the show really were affecting things because you just couldn't really hear much of anything. Okay, our next match is the X Division Championship match, Trey Miguel versus Chris Sabin. Again, much like our Digital Media Championship match, Miguel was sticking to the ropes, trying to avoid any confrontation with Sabin. Sabin eventually did hit a running kick off of the apron. Miguel then tripped Sabin up on the turnbuckles. Sabin hit a jumping knee and followed that up with a big DDT. Sabin later hit a Lubick kick. Miguel then countered a cradle shock into a double stomp. Miguel hit a tiger feint in Meteora. He went for the second Meteora. Sabin avoided it, went for the cradle shock, but then Miguel gouged Sabin's eyes. Sabin was blinded. He almost hit the ref. That enabled Miguel to dropkick Sabin into the ref. Sabin managed to regain his consciousness just enough to hit Miguel with the cradle shock. However, Miguel managed to roll out of the ring and get a spray paint can to blind Sabin once again and then roll him up for the leverage pin. This is like the 3rd or 4th Trey Miguel match I've seen end like this. Like, I'm okay with Miguel being heel. I'm okay with him using the spray paint can to win. But there's got to be some better way for these things to happen. Because this is, like I said, this is the 3rd or 4th time I've seen this happen this way. It's like, can we at least have him hit the spray paint and then hit some other type of maneuver? Just instead of the leverage pin all the time? And later, backstage, Sabin attacked Miguel again once he regained his vision. Anyway, after that is the 6-man #1 contenders match. The winner getting a title shot at Against All Odds on June 9th. Moose versus Alex Shelley versus Kazarian versus Eddie Edwards versus Jonathan Gresham versus Yuya Yamura. Apologies if I mispronounced that. Right off the bat, Kazarian and Edwards began brawling right after the bell rang. Moose tripped up Yamura on the apron. Gresham and Shelley attacked both attacked Moose's legs. Gresham hit a fake-out kick on Kaz, but then got kicked in the head by Edwards. Kazarian hit Moose with a springboard leg drop through the ropes. Kazarian then hit Shelley with a backstabber off the second rope. Moose then fought out of a head scissors and powerbombed Gresham and several other guys. Yamura hit Moose with a bulldog from the second rope. Edwards hit the Boston Knee Party to break up a pinfall, and in the process, though, it wound up getting speared by Moose. And eventually what happened was Shelley hit the shell shock on Yamura for the 3 count of the victory. So Alex Shelley gets the title shot at Against All Odds, which is the next Impact Plus show. I'm not going to quite say who it was against, but we'll get to that soon. I say overall this was probably the match of the night. Well, up there. This was one of the better matches, I will say that. This one had a lot of fun spots, a lot of action going on, a lot of stuff to try to keep track of. It was really easy done. Again, this one they didn't seem to have a problem with the with the sound quality so much, so everything worked a lot better and felt really good. Moves were crisp, not a lot of botches. Again, you had so many guys who were viable candidates to win this. Again, you have both Shelley and Kazarian who can always claim that they have not yet won the Impact World Championship, despite their long history with the company. Yamura is an up-and-comer, so that works. The only ones that really, Gresham, again, he's got a pedigree with him. And so, that would work. And, the only ones that really don't are Edwards and Moose, and that's because they're more heels than anything else. I mean, Gresham's more of a tweener, but yeah, Moose and Edwards are heels, definitely. So, yeah, you probably thought they weren't going to win. Maybe I'm tipping off that main event now. Anyway, our next match is the Knockouts Championship match, Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace. Grace fought out of a wrist lock and hit several forearms. Purrazzo came back and a neckbreaker through the ropes, and then followed that with a running senton to the floor. Grace countered a head scissors into a stun gun. Purrazzo hit a tilt-a-whirl and tried to put on the armbar. Grace hit a torture rack slam. Purrazzo then came back, hit a kind of cradle tombstone pile driver. She countered out of the tombstone, and instead of just dropping straight down, she modified it so that the legs were more around her shoulders than they were around the neck. Grace came back in a vertebreaker. She then tried to do the Grace driver off of the second rope, but Purrazzo countered that into the Queen's Gambit, second Queen's Gambit for Queen's Gambit off the second rope is what I'm trying to say. She'd actually hit the Queen's Gambit earlier as well, but she hit a second Queen's Gambit, this one off the second rope for the 3 count of the victory, which comes across maybe as a bit of a surprise, given that they were building this up as Jordynne Grace has never beaten Deonna Purrazzo, and now she's going, and so Purrazzo says, okay, I'll give you the shot this time, but this is it. As long as I'm champion, you're not getting another shot. And so so you think they're building up for Grace to finally win, and then she loses. And it turns out, as I was flipping through Twitter in between this, Sean Ross Sapp is reporting that Grace's contract is almost up. So, yeah, I believe she's given her a 30-day notice, and she's looking to test the waters as a free agent. So, her husband's still with Impact, but right now it looks like she's probably going to go on to greener pastures, wherever that may be. So, yeah, so that probably is where that explanation is. I will say this though about the match. The match was this might actually have been the match of the night, because this one told a great story. It had great moments. It had great work throughout. The only real drawback I would say is, again, the ending got a little cluttered because, again, you have Grace going for the Grace driver, but she just couldn't quite get the positioning right, and so they were constantly slipping off the ropes and slipping off the ropes. So yeah, it took a few points to get to that final setup. Anyway, let's move on to our final match, the Impact World Championship match, which was no DQ. Steve Macklin versus PCO. Early on, PCO closed the line Macklin to the outside of the ring. He hit rolling torpe through the ropes. Macklin then tossed suplex PCO into the ring, so that's my mistake, and then started throwing weapons in. He attacked with a trash can, attacked with a cookie sheet. He then went for a torpe of his own, but PCO countered with a cookie sheet attack of his own. This busted Macklin open, where he bled for the rest of the match. Macklin hit a low blow to avoid getting attacked by a staple gun, and Macklin then took the staple gun himself and stapled PCO's mouth shut. PCO had to pull them out with pliers. Macklin had PCO with a sledgehammer, and at this point my stream crashed. My stream crashed 3 times, and it took a couple minutes to get it back up again, and then it crashed, and then I got it back up, and then it crashed. So, yeah, unfortunately, I kind of missed what happened to the rest of the match. I did see PCO hit a cord breaker off the top rope and then follow with the deanimator. And then Macklin hit a straitjacket slam off the top rope to the ring apron below. He then, PCO had set up several cinder blocks in the ring and tried to do a PCO salt, but Macklin caught him and hit him with another straitjacket slam into the cinder blocks. and then hit a DDT into the cinder blocks, which I was able to piece together a little bit because that's when the stream got wonky. Yeah, and MacLeod won. Again, no real shock here, as you saw Alex Shelley win the #1 contendership match. But I do have to wonder again with guys like Nick Aldis, with Kazarian, with all these other guys who you're also trying to build up as contenders, and not to mention Josh Alexander's going to return at some point. He's probably going to want a shot. So not entirely. Yeah. So obviously PCO probably wasn't going to win. And then also furthering another story, because afterwards, in accordance with Scott D'Amore's promise, MacLeod demanded that D'Amore put the belt around his waist and shake his hand. D'Amore put the belt around MacLeod's waist, went to shake his hand. MacLeod rolled out of the ring, and that's when Bully Ray entered the ring and began choking D'Amore out with the belt. MacLeod and Bully Ray then attacked D'Amore more. They got out a table. They intended to set it on fire. PCO got in the ring. He got attacked. Matthew Raywalt, the announcer, got in the ring. He got attacked. The Motor City Machine Guns hit the ring. They got attacked. And then D'Amore was powerbombed through a flaming table. So, yes, we seem to have a new alliance of evil of some sort between MacLeod and Bully Ray. Bully Ray said he's going to take down the whole company. It's D'Amore's fault. He signed them anyway. I can't remember if D'Amore had any problems with Bully Ray, but okay. Jeez, I can't remember. Because I missed a pay-per-view match in between, obviously, if those on pay-per-view parts. So, overall, the match was definitely a hardcore match and lived up to that title. A lot of unprotected shots to the head, though. I don't like that. We shouldn't be doing that anymore. If you can throw your arms up in between, that's fine. But there's, again, a lot of unprotected, which means you're not doing that. The stuff with it. Admittedly, the problem with, a company like Impact, where they have a lot of homegrown talent, but they're also reliant on top stars. There's a lot of, we're treading over familiar territory again. Like, Bully Ray's in the main event scene. Trey Miguel's champion again, and he's facing Chris Sabin, who's a multiple-time ex-champ. Alex Shelley and Frankie Kazarian are still in there. There's kind of this, there's a little too much of the familiarity there, not enough, like, hey, we should be pushing some new things. Like, they were doing that better last year, and they're not doing it so well now. And, added to that, like I said, the acoustics in the arena, the stream problems I had, like, most of the matches were not terrible. The only ones I would say that really, disappointed were the kickoff show match. The exhibition match was not that good either, but other than that, like, most of the other matches were good. They were perfectly fine. They were not terrible, but again, coupled with the streaming problems I had, I unfortunately do have to kind of give this a C. It was very meh again. Like, it didn't quite live up to the hype, and even then, it was kind of match overkill too. Like, 10 matches is a lot. A lot for a show like this. Like, 8 matches would be fine. 10's just a little too much. So yeah, that's why I'm giving it a C. It was just very middle of the road, unfortunately. Okay, so the next video up after this is going to be the random trade review on Saga Volume 2. I have that up and it'll be ready to go. Don't know if it'll be Saturday or Sunday I'll get it up, but it will definitely be up after this one. And then we'll have the AEW Double or Nothing review. I will do Against All Odds. Other wrestling shows I plan are, I'll do Forbidden Door. I'll do Money in the Bank, which I think is in July. I'll have to check. I'll get to that in the Double or Nothing recap and review. See you all next time.
Hey guys, remember you can help me maintain and possibly even expand my professional wrestling covers by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.